How did I lose 150 pounds and largely keep it off? Is a question that I've been getting a lot lately in email, DMs, in the comments section. So I figured I would make another video about this. I have made videos about this before. I have some kind of new reflections on this, so let's get started. So I did keto. I'm not going to talk about like the keto end of it, but I did keto from like 99 before it was even called keto. I don't even know what you would call it back then. From 99 until like 2009, and different variations, different like basically carnivore, but keto, like mostly fat. So like some variations of that because the term carnivore wasn't around then. I did variations of that over that 10 years. And in the beginning, of course, like everybody else, of course, keto is great. You lose weight. You don't realize why you're losing weight. You don't realize that you're killing yourself. You don't realize all the implications of doing keto, that you don't realize that your body needs carbohydrates and it's turning basically at least 40-50% of what you eat into carbohydrates because you can't live without carbohydrates. So yes, of course, in the beginning, I feel like the Bible. In the beginning, it was great, just like everybody else says. And then you start losing hair, you start losing sleep, you can't sleep at all, you have a terrible breath, you smell terrible. People don't want to be near you because you smell like like a corpse. So it's not great after a certain amount of time. Now, it takes different variations of time to get to that point. Right. So, for somebody, it might, like for me, like it really took about 8 to 10 years for this really to like really get bad. Somebody else, it might be a month, and then they just want to be put on some kind of pill and they just want to go back to their keto. So I did that for 10 years. The 150 pounds came when I really started looking into what the body needs and why the body needs it. And that brought me to raw vegan. Now, the reason I went to raw vegan is I used to live in Philly. I had to be up in this area called Lansdale for the train station. And there was this guy, Arnold, over at Arnold's Way. Came up to me. He's like, "You're really fat." He's like, "I can help you." And I said, "I know I'm fat. I need help." So I went to his place. And he kind of got me, like hip to, the raw vegan way of living. So I started thinking about raw food. I didn't really do it at first. I thought it was woo woo bullshit. Couldn't, didn't really think that you could just eat, bananas and whatever else and be fine. So I kind of, I forgot about it. And then circumstances happened at my job and the position was gone. The whole building actually was gone. So we kind of all just got shown the door. I didn't have anything to do. So I started thinking about back at meeting Arnold because I was sitting at the house. I was, going on interviews and stuff like that. I really didn't have a whole lot to do. And I started doing OMAD, 1 meal a day. I don't know why I did it that way. I have no idea, with raw vegan. And I was losing weight like crazy, but I wasn't eating hardly anything. I was living off like breatharianism and like broccoli juice. It was crazy. So of course you're going to lose weight. Fast forward that, I started adding dairy back in. I don't really want to talk about the circumstance. If you really want like a long version of this, there's a couple of them. And I started like adding dairy back in and stuff like that because I started thinking you needed it. And then I got another job and I'm like, you know what? I'm making a lot of money at this job. Let me like really go full force in the raw vegan. And I did. So I went full force for it. I was, I went and bought a juicer. I went and bought a Vitamix. I went and bought like everything that you would need. I bought, no, actually somebody else bought the dehydrator. I bought everything that you would need to do raw vegan. And I did it. And I lost like probably 180 pounds or something like that. And I mean, it was so crazy how much weight I lost that I went to my cousin's wedding. Now, he recognized me, but some of my cousins didn't recognize me. My parents were actually having to reintroduce me to cousins that I had for like 30 some odd years. I think I was like 33 or something like that at this point. So it was about 11, 12 years ago, somewhere in that range. I mean, they were having to introduce me. It was crazy how much weight I lost. But as with anything else with me, like I eventually lose interest in the restriction aspect of it. So I started adding in other foods. I got another job and another job and another job and the job in 2014 or in 15 that I had was a post office, and I was working like 14 hours a day. It was ridiculous. And I stopped caring about eating at all. Like I'm like, all I do is work. Like I don't even feel like bothering taking time eating. So the person I lived with at that time, she started just making me dinner because she could see that I was checking out. It's too much working. I was in pain all the time. And this kind of thing happens to me all the time. And that's why I don't have that consistent 180 pounds off, because at the end of the day, like I can't still to this day figure out why I want to be like super skinny. Like it just doesn't even look like it would be right on me. I don't know. So I do struggle with that. And that is, why some of this, the roller coaster that I've kind of been on. And then I added in starch. Starch really didn't add much weight to me, but I kept doing avocados, and I think I know that added some weight. What else? So yeah, so going forward, I was kind of doing like a raw till 4. The raw till 4 was working all right. Yeah, I gained some weight back. Not a ton. I think I went from 220 or so to like 240 or so, something like that. It wasn't really a big deal. It was actually after I started like really getting bad with not eating in the morning. Like some of the jobs that I had to be there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't eat. I didn't feel like eating in the morning. And then I wouldn't. And like most of the jobs I had, I was distribution at the post office. So like I legit wouldn't have a break from 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I wouldn't eat that whole time. And that is actually where I started seeing the weight gain happen, is when I would do that. But I was so focused. Like when I get focused on something, I just can't eat. I just can't do it. So that is a huge issue. And that's what I'm trying to work on actually right now. But that's one of the biggest things. And that's why when I see people on here now, sometimes like I interviewed that Dr. Peter Rogers, or Peter Rogers MD, that likes to call himself. And he does one meal a day and it works for him, but some people it just doesn't work for. And I'm one of those people because I can't get enough down in one meal to sustain me for the entire day. I have to eat more than that. I just can't. I just can't do it. Like I just don't. I just it's not an ability of mine to do. So I have to eat more than once. And when I get into these phases of like basically living on cortisol, that is when you really start seeing the weight gain or the weight stall, because when cortisol is in the body, it's like your fight or flight. So you're in fight, and your body's like, well, we don't really need to digest right now. So it shuts down your digestive tract. You have absolutely no ability to burn fat whatsoever, and you just start accumulating, and then your digestion starts getting all screwed up because of this, and then you have backup and everything like that. So it's a hot mess. It really is, and this is one of the things I go through, and this is kind of what I've gone through this past like 3, 4, 5 months or something like that. I started noticing it towards the end of summer into early fall, where I just didn't feel like eating. And that's actually when I was getting up at I was going to bed at 9:30 at night, and I was getting up early. And this is when it started. I just was not hungry, and I just could not get myself to eat. And then I would work like DoorDash from I don't know, 6 or 7 in the morning all the way till 2 or something in the afternoon. I wouldn't eat the entire time. So this is when I started noticing that again. So my goal this year is to get to a place where I can have some of the stuff I really like to eat. Like I like them Gardein fake meatballs. I don't really think that's a huge deal. I don't really have these binges. I don't really have any cravings for food. Matter of fact, if I didn't have to eat at all, like you read about in the Bible, I mention the Bible a lot, but in heaven or whatever we want to call it, you don't really need to eat. And I'm like, sign me up for that one. I'm not the biggest fan. So I don't really have binges. I don't really have cravings. I just like textures, and that Gardein stuff. I like the texture of that. So this year I'm going to be figuring out how to be a sustainable, happy weight, do some exercise during the day, because I know one of the things I've been resistant to is exercise in the past, just because my foot. And yeah, this vegan world is just so crazy. Like, I'm going to be making a video about that, but my goal is to have as high carbohydrate as I possibly can have at a sustainable amount that gets me to a healthy area of life where I can actually thrive and not constantly have these restrictions that just drive you nuts. Because, like, for somebody like me, if you give me restrictions, I just start wigging out. Like, this is what employment is to me, like regular jobs. I start wigging out. I can't handle it. I can't handle that kind of like structure. I got to be able to wake up and do what I want to do. And in the diet, once it starts turning into this taking over your life, at least it's what it feels like to me. That's when I can't handle it anymore. Yeah, of course the weight loss is great. Of course feeling better about yourself is great, but I think you got to come to a spot about feeling better about yourself before you can really lose weight, because even when you lose weight, if you don't feel good about yourself, you're always going to be, oh man, that probably sounded terrible. Sorry. You're always going to be in search of something because you've never come to a conclusion or like to a place of actually being happy with yourself. So that is the goal of this year, and I think that should be everybody's goal. Find a place where you're happy with yourself. Find a health state, basically, because you've got to be healthy. Weight loss is pointless if you're not healthy. If you're doing it in an unhealthy way, if you're starving yourself, if you're keto, carnivore, these huge restrictions, none of this stuff is healthy. These people might look healthy on the outside, they might be ripped or whatever, and then you read their Instagram that they just went to the doctor and like three-quarters of their arteries are clogged, like because they've been on this like diet that's unsustainable for the human body. We're not cats. Like, I might be a Leo, like astrology wise, but like I'm not actually a Leo. So you really have to come to a place of what is sustainable for me? Why am I doing this? If health is not the number one concern, I don't know why you're doing it anyways, because you're eventually not going to look like you do now. Like, you're eventually going to look older. And, if you always did this stuff for vanity's sake, you're going to be always miserable with yourself. You're always going to be miserable with the images that you see in the mirror. You're always going to want, like a lot of people like the plastic surgery and stuff like that. You're always going to want to do that because you're never going to be happy with who you are anyways. So you have to come to a place, which I haven't actually always been at, like a place where you're happy with yourself. Because if you're not happy with yourself, then what you really, if you're not happy with yourself, there's no point in getting to a weight loss thing, I don't think. I think you need to learn how to be happy with yourself first. You have to realize that your health is needed first. It's just like this guy that my sister used to work with. He's like 400 or 500 pounds or something like that, but all of his metrics are perfect. His blood pressure is perfect. Every test that you run on this guy is perfect. I don't know how he manages to be this overweight when all of his numbers are perfect. I'm sure his hormones are not great. And that's another thing. Like, if your hormones are off, you're going to be kind of all over the place as well. So hormones, being happy with yourself, actually doing this for the health reasons, like actually doing it just to be healthy, is a huge thing. And yeah, so anyway, that is going to be the point of this whole thing during this period of time for the beginning of the year. I do hope to be doing some more interviews. I do actually want to talk about some of the diets that I've done a little more in depth. But yeah, so one of the main reasons that I have just been on this roller coaster is really because I haven't known the reason that I was doing it. And if you don't know the reason that you're doing it, I just don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you. Some people can put themselves on that track. Some people can be like that employee, right? This is like an employee mentality. Some people can just go to work and be happy with that. Some people can just put their nose down to the grindstone, and this is what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing it. But those are also the people that usually tend to be pretty miserable in life too, which I have taken my fair share of. So anyways, I don't think this is how I lost a 150 pound video like you normally see, because it is a struggle. if you don't know why you're doing it. And, you know, I did know why I was doing it back then. I was over 400 pounds. I don't honestly know what the final weight that I got to was. And I knew that that wasn't a good thing for me. I knew that I had to do something to help myself get to a place that wasn't at that 400 and some odd pounds. But once I did it, I started questioning, do I really care about getting down to the rest of it? Does it really matter? So anyways, that is, yeah. So if you can't answer that question, you really are going to struggle with weight loss long term, I think. I really do. I really do. Anyway, that's the video. It's not a downer video. It's just like a reality video. Like, you really got to answer that question for yourself. Why do you want to do it? Because if it's for vanity's sake, how long can you really sustain that? But if it's for health reasons, if it's for something else other than that, I think it's much more sustainable. Anyways, comments, questions, like always down below. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next video.